Hi, it's me, number 10. Groundbreaking new research has revealed that Jesus may have used a real-life time machine. A professor at a university believes he has discovered evidence from the Bible that proves Jesus was not only a miracle worker, but may have also been capable of traveling through time itself. When reading the Bible, some people choose to read it literally, while others see it more as an anthology of parables and teachings rather than a book with historical accuracy. Regardless of which camp you fall into, there are certain passages in the Bible that tell incredible stories. One of these is found in the Old Testament. It's a story of the Israelites crossing the Jordan River. This event is said to have occurred around 3,326 years ago. According to the biblical account, Joshua led the children of Israel to the banks of the Jordan. There was just one problem. The river was in flood. No one could cross. Joshua wasn't about to let his people be stranded forever, so he did something miraculous. He commanded the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant to march forward and step into the water. Once they were waist deep, Joshua told them to halt, and right then and there, the river split apart. The waters rose up in a wall on either side of the priests, and the children of Israel crossed over on dry land. It's an amazing story, but what does it mean? Some believe it means God parted the waters for them. Others think it's a metaphor. But what if it really happened because of the Ark of the Covenant? In order to understand this theory, we first have to understand the Ark of the Covenant itself. You see, the Ark of the Covenant was like a mysterious briefcase or chest, a wooden box which was incredibly sacred. It had the capacity to do miracles. We know this because it's mentioned throughout the Bible. Every time the Ark of the Covenant appeared, things happened which were beyond explanation. When the Israelites were trapped in Egypt, Moses placed the Ark of the Covenant down, and when Pharaoh reached out to touch it, his hand was withered. It's also said that the Ark of the Covenant caused the waters of the Nile to turn to blood. Later on, during battles, whenever the Ark of the Covenant was carried to the front line, the enemies of Israel were defeated. That's all well and good, but what's truly so fascinating about this mysterious chest is that no one knows how it worked. It would seem that the Ark of the Covenant had some kind of awesome power. However, no one has any idea where that power came from or how it functioned. Some experts believe that the Ark of the Covenant was a piece of advanced alien technology left behind by visitors from another world. Imagine for a second that the Ark of the Covenant was a device left behind by extraterrestrials. If that's true, the power it wielded may have come from nuclear energy or some other force we don't even know about yet. As far as the parting of the Red Sea goes, maybe the Ark emitted a powerful electromagnetic charge that caused the water to be pushed aside. This would explain why it only lasted a short time. Eventually the charge wore off and the water returned to normal. It's just a theory, but it's certainly interesting. But that's not the only groundbreaking discovery archaeologists have made in Egypt recently. Mysterious light bulbs found in King Tut's tomb. Deep within the Egyptian desert lies the Valley of the Kings. It's here where many of the most important mummies in history were found. From King Tut to Ramses the Pigeon, there are dozens of royal mummies hidden inside the tombs of the Valley of the Kings. For centuries, experts believed these tombs were nothing more than elaborate graves. They thought the pharaohs were actually buried in these tombs and their mummies left to rest. However, the discovery of a mysterious light bulb suggests something completely different. In 1924, a British archaeologist named Howard Carter uncovered the tomb of the boy King Tut. King Tut was only 19 years old when he died, and his tomb was full of treasures. When Carter entered the burial chamber for the first time, he noticed two strange copper objects hanging from the ceiling. These copper objects were shaped exactly like modern light bulbs, complete with a socket and a base. And according to the reports, the light bulbs were sitting inside a type of lamp. But how could this be possible? Electricity was not invented until nearly 1,000 years after King Tut's death. For the longest time, experts tried to ignore the light bulbs. They came up with all kinds of excuses as to why they couldn't possibly be light bulbs. One of the most common theories was that they were simply decorative, nothing more than fancy baubles meant to weigh down the lamps. But why would anyone put fake light bulbs in a lamp? They would serve absolutely no purpose as decorations. Also, if they were just decorations, why were they installed into sockets and wired into a complex system of copper? There were even more strange discoveries made in the tomb of King Tut. Researchers found a strange pair of copper wires leading out of the room. They went up the wall and disappeared into a hole in the ceiling. What were they connected to? And how would they have created light without electricity? The truth is, there are many examples of mysterious ancient technology found in Egyptian tombs. For example, archaeologists have also discovered parts of machinery that look exactly like gears, metal rollers, shafts, nuts and bolts. None of it makes any sense. Experts claim that the Egyptians would not have had the technology to create such devices. But if the Egyptians were able to make light bulbs and electrical wiring, it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to believe that they could have created simple machines as well. How could ancient Egyptians have had light bulbs? The biggest mystery of all is how the Egyptians would have had access to light bulbs in the first place. At the time of King Tut, there was not a single electrical engineer in the entire known world. Electricity was completely unknown. There were no batteries, no conductors, and no generators. So where did the Egyptians learn the idea of creating artificial light from? Did they get the idea from aliens? Was the knowledge passed down to them by visitors from the future? Or could this be proof that the ancient Egyptians were way more advanced than we give them credit for? We know that the Egyptians were smart enough to understand astronomy. They built giant pyramids that aligned with constellations. They kept meticulous records and were among the first to develop calendars. They also kept detailed records of their kings and maintained libraries full of ancient texts. It's entirely possible that somewhere among their writings is the secret to how light bulbs worked. Unfortunately, so far, researchers have been unable to find anything in the ancient texts that might explain how light bulbs or other technology would have been possible. One thing is for sure, though, it's highly unlikely that someone just randomly stumbled upon the concept of creating artificial light. To invent a light bulb takes hundreds of scientists, engineers, and inventors working over several decades. It doesn't just happen accidentally. Someone somewhere would have had to have discovered the concept of electricity. Then someone else would have figured out how to contain electrical current. Then someone else would have had to figure out how to create a vacuum inside a glass bulb. And then someone else would have had to discover how to thread a filament through the bulb. Someone would have had to invent the socket and the switch. It's hard to imagine how such a complex system of ideas would have popped up independently in ancient Egypt, especially since the Egyptians weren't even aware that electricity existed. What do you think? Do you think the Egyptians learned how to create light bulbs from extraterrestrials who taught them the secrets of the universe? Or do you think the Egyptians somehow managed to develop their own technology independently? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to see more videos about groundbreaking new discoveries, stay tuned. See you next time. Bye.